Welcome. I bid you welcome
Thank you very much.
to Monday Night Metal. We're doing this as a pre-record, but this is an honor for me to have the Thunder Child from Warlord himself, former drummer for Fates Warning, drummer for A to Z, drummer for a number of other little projects like maybe like this one, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Mark Zonder, it is an honor and pleasure, my friend. How are you doing?
Very, very, very well. I really appreciate it. And yes, I did notice a couple people in that little intro there, Mr. Philip Bino for one, and obviously Vi, but my good mate there, as they say, Philip Bino. Absolutely.
Yes.
Wouldn't miss him a mile away. Plus, with the album cover there kind of gave it away. Even if I didn't recognize Philip, I'd kind of go, who's that guy holding the A through Z record? But no, all good. Just back from the tour. And it's interesting because most people come back for a tour. Oh, man, I got to take 2 weeks off. But I have several businesses that are constantly running.
Right.
And plus, I want to get back to the gym and on the bike, and being on the road just kills you physically, not from that it's so difficult, but it just takes you out of your routine.
Right.
So I kind of hit the ground and I'm going 150 miles an hour. So I'm not that guy who won't return a phone call within a week. Oh man, I'm recovered. Come on, man. Come on. There's 24 hours in a day. You're playing an hour, please.
Right.
Come on. It's not that difficult. Seriously.
Right.
Anybody that complains should just go get a job at Starbucks and call it a day. But it's not that difficult.
No.
It really is not. Plus you get to hang out with your friends. So what can you say?
That's right. So for my subscribers, I hope will know who Warlord it is, because I've talked about them enough. I certainly did a wonderful little video and in tribute to Bill, who, of course, it's been what, 4 years now? 5 years?
Getting on there. Honestly, I don't remember dates so much as just the memories per se. And every single night when that little intro, 1984, the beginning of the end, the War of the War, started to run, and before I kicked off those four clicks, the sound man don't understand how to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, turn on the lights, which is another story. But he was there. Bill's there. Bill's there at every show. Bill's there at every note.
Right.
Those are his notes.
That's right.
And those guys play him extremely well. So I think Bill would be completely blown away.
Yeah. So just to give my viewers a little up to speed, this is the first time you got to present the music of Warlord to the folks in the States. So can you do maybe a brief little snippet history of how you and Bill came together and why you guys just never got the chance to gig?
6-letter word, singer.
That's
it. End of conversation. Next question. No, I'm just kidding. That was the problem. I mean, when Bill and I started, it's kind of interesting because the girlfriend of the lead singer of the band that I was playing in Russian Roulette knew Bill from working at in the Bay Area. This is where we're from. We're in San Jose. And he's from a bookstore, and he thought Bill and I would get along really well. Anyways, long story short, Bill and I start jamming in just him and I. He's in his Kiss boots. He's got his Marshall on 11. I got this ridiculous drum set that makes way too much noise. And we're in a stone auto bay on the worst part of town. I'm surprised we never got robbed. It was by Eastridge on the east side of San Jose. Horrible spot, but the only place we could find a place to play.
Right.
Good year or two, just Bill and I jamming. No bass player, no singer, nothing. We couldn't find anybody. That's where that whole Warlord drums and guitar thing come from. Because we were so damn bored. It's I'm not just going to go boom, tap, boom, tap. There's no singer. There's no keyboard player. There's no bass player. So we made it very interesting. And then when we finally wound up in L.A. and we were auditioning singers, Mark Bowles, Jeff Scott Soto, Neil Turbin, 117 other guys that you could think of.
Oh, gosh.
And the ones that were good wanted money. We didn't have it.
Right.
So at the end of that conversation, we played 1 million gigs in LA in our rehearsal studio. Believe me, you can talk to Bobby Bruner, and Bobby owns Mate's rehearsal studio for a gazillion years. And that's the big rehearsal studio. You name it, they're there. Whitesnake, whatever, everybody. Bobby was like a 12-year-old kid. We used to sit on the floor at Warlord Manor and watch me, Bill, and a variety of various bass players jam through the songs nightly. So we were playing gigs, just nobody came.
Nobody came for them, right?
We were playing.
You never got to headline the Whiskey and places like Rainbow and stuff like that.
I've played the Whiskey, nothing to get too excited about. Sorry,
I'm just thinking of
playing. The Forum, Staples Center. Okay, different story. The Greek Theater, different story. The Whiskey, yes, it's kind of like all the rest. I mean, I like the Roxy better myself. Yeah. But anyways, and so it just kind of carried from there. We just couldn't find the singer. We do the albums with, quote, like studio singers where Bill is pitching them every line. And people have to realize there's not one record until Philip Bino came along that there was one note on there that wasn't Bill's note. Pitched the lines to the singers. Bill looked at vocals as nothing more than another instrument. Go back and listen to any of the Warlord albums. You never hear David Lee Roth raps, which I love, but it's not Warlord. Right. You never hear a scream. Well, you hear screams, but you don't hear, Jim Dandy, David Lee Roth kind of, rock and roll-y kind of things. You never really hear the big ad lib. You never hear, what like guys like Sammy Hagar that are great at, and covered it. You never hear that, mumbling and grumbling under his breath, which makes Whitesnake Whitesnake. Mm-hmm. But Bill looked at it that way. So there was everything that was ever played, keyboards, everything was Bill's idea, minus the drums, obviously. And then I'll never forget, right in this room, standing right behind me, because this is the control room of my studio at my house, and the drum room's over there where the drums are. Mm-hmm. Philip Bino sitting over here, and we cut the first song. Like, Bill kind of gives him notes. Bill's in Florida. Bill's not here in LA, in Agora Hills. And Philip, we cut the first track and we sent it to Bill, and Bill just writes me back. He goes, I'm out. Just have him play whatever he wants. It was that good. He goes, he's got it. He's in. Yeah. So from that point on, when Philip was playing the bass on all the Warlord stuff, that was Philip's interpretation of what it was. But Bill was in charge of the whole thing. And we used to joke. We sat around and go, hey, man, if one of us could sing, we wouldn't need anybody else, Right. But it just kind of moved on for that. And what happened was we, did Deliver Us as an $800 record, 8-track studio, engineer smoking crack, cocaine, cigarettes the whole time. We never had a clue of what the hell that smell was. Two bass drums and a bass guitar shoved down to one track. Interesting little dumping around with a 8-track tape. And basically the bottom line is between that and the video, the cannons, Bill got to that point of like, well, wait a minute, we're doing all this stuff. We're getting these amazing reviews, but we can't get off the ground. And he just got frustrated with it. That was it. It was really simple. No one stole money from each other. No one was banging each other's girlfriend or any, there's no typical band bullshit. The real truth of the matter is Bill and I never had an argument about anything. He had the music thing going. We'd collaborate per se. And, hey, what do you think of this drum part? Do you think we can, like we just like most band guys do. Right. And then I handled all the business. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. And it worked out good that way. I did my thing. I had the big catalog of everybody who wrote in. I wrote them back, and on my little typewriter, I would type up and cut the name out and paste it in alphabetically to this book, or the computer, obviously. Wow. And it was great, and it's funny. I've met guys that are actually in that book on the road. That's cool. So going back to 1982, but singer, that's all it was. We couldn't find a singer. Jack, the first singer, was a great singer, like a studio singer. Yeah. Bill would pitch in the lines. Great. Horrible live. We did a showcase for Bill Coyne, who managed Kiss and Billy Idol and all these other great things, and just said, hey, great band, singer's not going to fly. Next, but hey, so we kept trying, and we just couldn't find a singer. They didn't get it. There's a certain thing about Warlord too, and the guys that I play with now get it. Other guys didn't get it. We're not looking for someone to come in and put their mark on it and make this, like Slaughter or whoever, or whatever band, and like whatever. This is the parts are dictated. Okay. And if you can't get behind that and you can't understand it and just fall in love with what it is, and really go, wow, this doesn't sound like Rat. This doesn't sound like Motley Crue. Wow, this doesn't sound like Cinderella. If you couldn't do that, there's no point going forward. Because even like with my guys now, when we go play, they're playing that note for note. They're not like, hey, man, check out this blues jam. We don't take Child of the Damned and play it in a reggae feel because we think it sounds cool. People want to come and see, and you got to remember, too, Warlord can never, ever be accused of oversaturating a market, okay? Never. No. I mean, kind of the opposite. We're like 40 years in the rears right now. So, but the guys are great, all of them. They all get it. They respect the band. They respect what Bill did. They respect everything about it. And it's a beautiful thing. It's probably the first band I've ever played in my whole life where it's just easy. The band on the stage and off the stage, they all, I don't know, I would say because they're all older, but they're not, because some of the guys are in their 30s and 40s. So it's not like a respect kind of thing because we're all older. But at the same time, they just get it until they get a better gig, and then it's all over. But that's a different story. But no, the guys are absolutely fantastic. They give 112%. You couldn't ask for anything else. And I'm very happy. I'm dying to go out and play these shows.
Sure.
We're working on music, and the band's happening. What this band really needs is an opening slot. Okay. As much as I love playing to our quote fans, there's not a lot of them right now. And what we really need to do is get an opening slot in front of 500 to 1,000, 2,000, whatever, and that was kind of proven when we played with Priest in Italy. I can guarantee you some people knew who we were, but at the same time, there were a lot of people that don't. And what I've always told these guys is, hey, they might have a better singer. They might have a better drummer, a better looking guitar player. His hair is better. I go, but what we have are the songs. When you kick into those songs, if someone doesn't know the band, it doesn't take long to find that pulse. It's like going to a Fates Warning concert, like, whoa, there was a bar of 7, like, whoa, where'd that come from? It's like, it's right there, So you go into A Penny for a Poor Man or Lucifer's Hammer, I would say first chorus, you either have them or you don't. And if they don't, they just don't like the music, and that's okay, but they understand it. So we just need that opening slot, Sabotage in the States would be great, whatever. There's a million of them. And and I'll be very honest, there's nobody that I wouldn't play with, We would play with anybody.
Sure. So how did the Onslaught thing come together? How did that meeting come together?
Well, Giles, the singer and Warlord, manages Onslaught.
Okay.
So and then he'd worked with Tone Deaf. Wow, how appropriate is that? Tone Deaf, whatever agency in the past, and everything's been hunky dory. And so it just kind of came up, and it was also a little bit of, okay, we want to get out in the States. Okay. We were taking all offers. It's not like we had 12 offers and we went, okay, let's go with this one. At the same time, you don't want to play with a band that's exactly like Warlord that's going to have the same fans, because then you're not expanding anything, and that's not going to happen. So it was kind of just brought up, and we're like, okay, cool. It's a co-headlining thing. We're playing the same amount of time, and we basically just play before them, and which was a really good slot because you sound check, you stay set up, you're good to go. You kind of done early. It works out rather well. It was great. On paper, it looked great. Didn't quite have the draw that the agency had sold it as. Yeah. You witnessed that. I mean, come on.
I was at the show in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I think most of the people that were there were the 3 bands that opened up for you guys and some of their entourage, but there weren't a whole lot of others after that.
Nope. I've kind of felt bad for Onslaught. It's tough to do a pit with 12 people. Now it's more just a circle. It's like,
and what's funny, I was almost going to go to the Atlanta show, but the timing of it wasn't going to work for me. The Murfreesboro show was actually an easier show for me to go to. And I'm kind of glad I did, obviously, because
yeah,
I would have been sadly disappointed in Atlanta, unfortunately.
You would have got an hors d'oeuvre in Atlanta. That would have been an hors d'oeuvre. That's a whole different situation. But no, it was. Fates Warning used to have a very. Here's a little Fates Warning anecdote. We'd be on the bus going into the gig. Hey, I don't know. Whitesnake's going to be here next week, and Metallica was here a week ago. It's like, well, it's spring break, and the kids don't have that much money. And we get about this far from the door, and whoever was in front would turn around and go, "We're just not that popular," and then we'd go play. It was like you could come up with every excuse in the book. The bottom line is it was oversold. And then, unfortunately, when something's oversold, it comes back and kicks the bands right in the balls.
Yeah.
No one wants to play those gigs. I mean, we want to play.
Yeah.
But no, that's a whole lot of work. And to me, the only joy that I get is the interaction with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit over there and play drums all day, which I do. So playing the drums isn't that big of a deal.
Right.
But play it in front of fans. Okay. I know how good this stuff is. I want you to know how good it is. All 15 of you. It's like, oh boy. Yeah. So it was rough as far as that goes. Right. But no, the band's amazing. I mean, last show, okay, we sit around for half an hour on the stage and they can't get the monitors going. No, the drummer wasn't getting drum sounds. Okay, let's be clear, boys. The drummer was not getting drum sounds. The drummer sat out there with his thumb firmly planted in a very tight place, waiting for the monitors. Everybody else had monitors. They couldn't get my in-ears going. Oh, then it was like, okay, screw it. I got my click because I got my own thing here. Just get the wedge going. Give me a wedge. Give me something. Yeah. They couldn't get it going. Half an hour later, I just said, screw it. Let's just play. And, tour manager on the side stage screaming that they're going to cut our power at 9:10. And it wasn't our fault. And what was really weird is the two sound guys that are running the show, it's their gig, go, hey, we got no curfew tonight. We're good. You guys can play. And they're screaming. Like, that's always good. That's what you want to hear while you're sitting there, while the crew is doing the best they can. God bless them. They're doing the best they can. That's all you can ask. And having the tour manager and the other band screaming that they're going to cut the power at 9:10. Just for the record, we got off the stage at 9:08 because there's a big clock there. But that's like kind of the last thing you need. So you didn't miss much in Atlanta. But after the drummer wasn't getting his drum sounds and was waiting for the sound people, I just said, screw it. Let's just play. I got a click track. I know the songs. I can sing them in my head. We'll play. It's kind of weird in a big cavernous venue where you're hearing different things. So I had to overly concentrate. Mm-hmm. But my guys at the end said, man, we've never been that tight. So I'm thinking, wow. Well, maybe this is the way to go. Maybe I don't want a monitor. Let me just play in my own head with a click track. Good.
Yeah.
No, the guys are great, complete. And I told them the minute we walked off that stage and we were upstairs in the dressing room 7 miles away, you can call that pro. That is pro. Not a lot of pro going on this tour. That was pro.
Right.
We faced a situation. No one crumbled. We dealt with it. Everybody was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like Freddie Mercury said, and he's not the first, the show must go on.
Show must go on is right.
Even though it's only 6 songs of a show, I'm not sure if you call it a show or what you call it. But again, overly proud of my guys.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I'll tell you right now, I would open up for Maiden. No problem. No problem. Call it whatever you want. I have all the confidence in the world. And, we've been doing this for a few years, played a lot of shows overseas, played some shows here. And I know the way these guys are. I know how they function under pressure in goofy situations. Sacramento, all of a sudden, through everybody's monitors, the PA's blowing up. And it's like, you can see smoke coming from everybody's head. You know what I mean? It's like, so there's a lot of goofy situations that have happened. And, like I said, I love these guys. They're nothing I can say more,
Yeah.
I don't wish for anything else.
Diego made sure I got this pick in Murfreesboro. So he handed this one directly to me from the stage. And I was very appreciative of that. That's the first time I've ever had that happen. So yeah, you definitely have a good group of guys there. But what's funny, you talked about Philip, and I guess I had missed the memo that he wasn't going to be able to make the tour. So you had gotten Pasco in there.
Yeah. What had happened with Philip? Philip and I go back 17 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I've said it a million times in interviews, and if I'm playing, he's playing. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Okay. It was his choice. We'd had some rough tours in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my God, I think we went Germany to Italy to play for the Priest thing and sat around for 6 hours in the heat before we went on, and then had to go drive back. And he just got to that point where he'd kind of had enough of this, and he was very professional about it. He didn't storm off in the middle of Penny for a Poor Man or anything like that. Right. Just complete pro. That's the thing I love about my guys and Philip. There used to be a thing on the A through Z album. I don't know if you ever picked up on it, but it was BLB on the first album.
Okay.
I gave special thanks. It was Be Like Bino. It's like be professional. It was a little message to other people. Be professional. Do what you say you're going to do. I'll never forget on that first record. There it is.
There it is. Folks, if you haven't heard either of these two albums, please do yourself a favor. Get them.
Yeah, I'd have to say that second one was probably the best stuff that I've ever done. I know a lot of people like to go back to the Fate stuff, and yes, that was great. It was. I'm not, especially stuff like A Pleasant Shade of Gray. That's some kind of scary stuff there. But no, Philip's just the ultimate professional, and a lot of people today aren't. And you really got to surround yourself. I'll never forget trying to get videos going for that first record. Didn't have the big budget. Hey guys, just shoot stuff in your studio. I don't care what it is. Drinking coffee, playing with the dog. I don't care. I just need black and white B-roll. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I got guys that are sitting in their basement doing nothing. Takes them 3 weeks to get to me. Bino's on tour in Bulgaria with Vi, and I get it within 16 hours. Is it that freaking difficult? Like I said, BLB, man. Be like Bino.
Yeah, man. But Pasco did a wonderful job, and it looked like you had a lot of fun with him.
You know his history, though?
I do not.
Oh, go back, 2002.
Okay.
Wacken with Joachim singing, 2:00 in the morning. Like Joachim said, we're playing the graveyard shift. The long-haired left-handed bass player dude is
okay.
Pasco. So when Philip, couldn't make it and didn't want to keep doing it, my first call was to Pasco, and
enough said.
He's great. He's great, and he's pro all the way. Plus, he brought me his coffee maker, which is really cool, from Italy. That's a different story. But you have to surround. I've learned a long time ago, and it really kind of hit me in the face after that first A through Z album. That's why on that second A through Z album, you got Philip, okay, like Bino. You got Jimmy Waldo, consummate professional. Work with him with Graham Bonnet and blah, blah, blah. You got Nick Van Dyke, a good friend of mine that goes back probably 20, 30 years, that I'd leave my keys, my kids, and my checkbook with, okay?
Right.
And then you have Simone, who comes highly recommended by all of those guys. And then you got Ray, okay? Yeah. So you have to surround yourself with people that you know what you're going to get.
Right.
And that was a very valuable lesson. And obviously I didn't learn it that well, because obviously on this Warlord tour, we didn't surround ourselves with crew and tour manager that we selected. They were selected for us, and they said everything was going to be great. And obviously it wasn't, but you're never too old to learn.
That's true.
We'll be changing that up a little bit in the future.
So are we hoping for a possible another leg in America, or is that?
I'm hoping for everything. I mean, whether it can be pulled off, obviously, we need to make some quote changes per se. Things have to be done a lot differently. Sure. Here we are. Basically, I've been home a little short of 2 weeks, and I'm still chasing drum gear around in North America, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
It's just, where's that word unpro come from? It's not my job. I'm not asking the crew or the tour manager to play aliens, am I?
Right.
So why are you asking me, is your responsibility to take, I don't know.
Yeah.
What can I say? We never have that problem in Europe. Never.
Right.
So
Yeah.
no, we're definitely doing everything we possibly can. Again, let all the people in charge know that an opening slot would really be it. We really need to get out in front of more people. I mean, it's just, again, the Priest thing was a dream, and it's like, okay, I know those don't come along too often, but when you go out and play, and you can just tell that, like, all of a sudden, like 4,000 people that really never even heard you got their head in the air and they're banging because they can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You're making ground. You're moving up that hill.
Right.
Playing in front of you and your 17 kids at Murfreesboro. I'm not sure if that really moved the needle so much.
Yeah. Well, hey.
I saw
Hey, my wife was with me for that show, and she enjoyed it too. So she was, I gave her a kind of a crammed a last minute cramming of Warlord music on the ride up, because I live in Birmingham, so that's about a 3-hour drive or so up there. So
okay.
she got a little quick introduction to the band, and via that, but she enjoyed me. In fact, she wanted to make sure she had a memory capture on video, so she videoed War in Heaven, which is probably one of my favorite tracks, because that Bill's solo just always just makes me go, just that end part of the solo is always like one of my favorites. So watching Diego and Eric just shredding it up, I'm like, oh.
Well, what's interesting about that song is we always joke, hell, let's just go out and play War in Heaven and leave, because that captures everything. That's everything. It's got everything you could want. That is Warlord personified. All the little parts, the different parts, the heavy parts, that whole mellow breakdown in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's classic. I mean, I always joke to myself when it comes up where, okay, we got a really mellow part, but I'm still playing double kick. Okay, how the hell does that work? It's like soft double kick, with a squishy cymbal and a sample and all those kind of great things. But no, that song, that's it.
Now, how far back does that song go? Because the first that I was really aware of it was, I came across it on the Lordian Guard album, where Bill had it was just all drum programming, I think.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think. But some of those songs go back to when you and him were still playing.
When we were okay. There's an interesting story. If you take War in Heaven,
mm-hmm.
It used to be called Achilles' Revenge,
right?
And then there's an Achilles' Revenge song. So they kind of got mushied all along the way. But we were doing that stuff way back when it was just Bill and I. There's so many little tidbits that, I mean, I remember Battle of the Living Dead way back when. It was played way too fast, and I couldn't play it correct. I mean, I couldn't really nail it because it was 900 miles an hour of double kick. But and they changed as they went. Winds of Thor went all the way back. The little Warlord story is, the whole Warlord thing got going on records is when we visited, Brian Slagle at Oz Records. He was working in a record store, but he had this Metal Blade Records thing. Played him about 8 bars of Winds of Thor, and he said, "Hey, you guys want to be on Metal Massacre too?" and it starts from there. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's so many songs that kind of, there's stuff that came out, Worms of the Earth, For Whom the Bells Toll. Like we were doing those way back when. They just never made the light of day, and you have to kind of ask yourself, like, well, why didn't Winds of Thor make the first record? It's like, I don't know. Did we have too many to choose from? But there's a lot of intersectioning. I don't know the word. Cross-collateralized of, quote, Lordian Guard stuff and Warlord stuff, and Bill was just running with various ideas.
Right.
So yeah, that whole War in Heaven to Achilles' Revenge, because that used to be Achilles' Revenge, and I used to see like the horses coming over the top of the hill, kind of coming down in the valley. But then it got all switched up, and it is what it is. It's all history now.
Right. And then of course, then you get So now, how I always thought it was Joaquin. So how do you pronounce his name from
Well, I used to screw it up all the time. Joachim.
Joachim? Okay, so you got him for Rising Out of the Ashes. So how did recording the material come together?
Well, it was interesting with Joachim. That's still the mystery to me. Okay, here's a guy, total Warlord fan.
Mm-hmm.
They covered Child of the Damned.
Mm-hmm.
Great singer, great
Mm-hmm.
frontman. Say what you want. Overly successful. Great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, here we go. Here's the singer that we finally needed. Here's the singer. We can go out and play. We can go out and do this, and we can go out and do that. I don't know. The fans didn't respond. I don't know. I thought we'd have like all the hammer falls automatically lined up at the door. Didn't work out that way. I don't know what it was. I don't know if we get into this classic, oh, Warlord's a cult band. Now they're bringing some other guy in that's in a popular band. So now we can't be into the band. I don't know what it is.
Huh.
You know, I thought he sounded great. I thought live he's spectacular. You know, he's the quintessential frontman per se.
Right.
You can see that. Go back and look 2002 Vakken. There's a video on YouTube. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
I think we played Deliver Us. And I think there's also clips on YouTube when we played in it's a Hoven or whatever it is, like a really, really small place. I was about 117 degrees. Oof. And we're literally on top of each other. But Joachim's tearing it up. Pasco's there. Pasco's
yeah.
And
but my thought was how did Bill was it Bill approached to do it, or did
Bill and I had always been in touch, and I always told him, hey man, you got anything going? I don't care if it's Eric Johnson or Muddy Waters. You know, if you got anything going that you need drums for, let me know. I'm always here. I'm always available. You know, it's like in the back of my mind, I'm always hoping for the Warlord thing to regenerate.
Sure.
And we just started. You know, I think he had a couple ideas, but the demo that we used to shop it was, I think it was Winds of Thor, Battle of a Living Dead. I mean, I have it here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is we couldn't get a deal, even with Joachim. And I'll never forget Metal Blade, but that's when Metal Blade had a very heavy European, I think, I could be wrong, but it had a very heavy European office that made decisions kind of by themselves. They weren't really overly governed by Brian or Tracy or anybody else. But I'll never forget sending him the stuff, never hearing anything. Kept pounding on him. And then I get I think it was a gentleman named Michael Trengert sends me an email that just says, not interested. That was it. And I thought, okay, I guess he's not interested. Okay, you made that pretty clear.
So I had this version of CD. This was on Art of, I can't read this. Arthesia?
That was what happened. We didn't get a label deal. There was a guy named Fabrizio that was like a good friend, and I knew him through the Fates Warning days when he would come when we were in I guess it was Greece. I think it was Greece. And he would take us to the most amazing dinners. And it's just one of these guys that really just like, it was crazy. He was like a deal maker guy. He had like 7 phones and really, really, really nice guy. So he financed that record. Yeah. It wasn't a big budget. You know, we did it in my house in New York. Right. The studio was in the basement. Joachim flew over and, you know, Bill did his stuff, I think, at home. That was the first time I think he might have been using Cubase or something. But I recorded all the drums there. And then he licensed it out to Drakkar, I think is who it was at the time.
Right.
And that was, you know, the whole thing just kind of died. And again, Bill got totally discouraged, you know, and so then it came to offers coming in 2013 or to go play in Greece, and it's supposed to be the big deal, you know, and blah blah blah, and it was a big deal. In Athens, fans were just absolutely incredible.
Oh.
I mean, I'll never forget sitting backstage with Bill, and it's a twofold, and this is a memory that I'll never forget. The opening band's playing, and all we hear is Warlord, Warlord over the top of the opening band. And that's it. At the Gagarin Theater. Nice place, balcony, the whole, like a proper place for Warlord to play in Greece. Mm-hmm. And I look at Bill, and 2 things come to mind. We both went, wow, you know, this is what it's like playing with Iron Maiden. And every night they just love you. You can go out, you can fall on your face. It doesn't matter. The fans just, they're there for you and they love you and it's easy. And the other one was kind of a like, what took so long? You know,
Yeah.
here we are in 2013, a good 30 some odd years after the fact. And it's like, what the hell took so long? And, but it was a great moment and it was a great gig. I mean, Bill was definitely not like a road dog kind of guy.
Right.
So he really prepared for that. And, you know, we played a couple shows and, you know, it's amazing that, you know, that's actually documented. So very happy that it is. And that the fans were just like ridiculous. It was out of control. It was like crazy.
So what do you attribute it to being huge in Greece in those parts? What do you attribute it to?
I wouldn't say that it's huge. It's not huge.
Well,
it's
you had the following that you had.
I just want to make sure people are clear that I'm not sitting here going,
not like Spinal Tap huge in Japan. I guess I'm thinking the kind of following you got in Greece.
Yeah, you know, that I don't know if that was just a couple thousand, you know, which is amazing. I'm not sure. Fates Warning has the same kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's the Greek guitar players because Jim's Greek and Fates Warning, Bill's Greek, and they play on that. They play on that big time. You know, they think he's the prodigal son. I think anybody that's Greek, you know, kind of thing, and you know, that gives them the nod per se, like that they acknowledge that kind of thing. It's a big deal, you know, because you can see it the whole time that Bill was alive, but even after he passed, how so much of it was tied to the heritage per se. Right. So also I think maybe just the style of the music, perhaps. You know, I always thought Warlord would be big in Japan, you know, because Deep Purple is big in Japan, and that Blackmore style. And Bill is a huge Blackmore fan. But no, when Warlord went to Japan, it was small. It was no big getting excited. It was no Michael Schenker thing. It was no Chris Bell. You know, it was like kind of down and dirty, you know, kind of really small club gig kind of thing.
Right.
And it didn't quite have the Greek flavor. So I don't think the Greeks are in any danger of losing their crown as we sit here today. You know, trust me, Lincoln, Nebraska didn't push you guys off the stage. Greece is still it. You're number one. You know, you can wear it loud and proud.
There you go. Wow. Well, and then Holy Empire, you guys get to do that. And and you have I'll show the CD here. And then Rick Anderson is doing the vocals for most of those tracks. And then you had Giles on Killzone.
Yep.
How did you first come across Giles?
Well, Giles, it's an interesting story with Giles. When we were going to play those gigs, well, Giles and Bills have been friends through the internet just because of the music thing and all that kind of great stuff. We were supposed to do these 2012 or 13 or whatever, the Grief thing, and we had a different singer all lined up. And it was a friend of mine who has passed. And, you know, great singer, great guy, great everything. And it was like 3 months out, I said, hey, man, you know, every week send us a song. We just want to make sure, you know, and if you have any questions or you're not nailing it, we can get it right, because we're not, you know, we'll have rehearsal time, but you better come prepared. You know, the Warlord and, you know, the same thing with Fates Warning. You better come prepared. Rehearsal is not to learn the stuff. Okay. You come prepared. And as we were getting closer, we were realizing that this ain't going to happen. This is not that he's not there. So about 3 weeks before the gig, we decided to get in touch with Giles, and Bill gets in touch with him, and, you know, and kind of the rest is history. Bill had him sing Killzone because we were looking for more of that Halford style, and Rick Anderson could definitely not do that. You know, that's another reason that Rick Anderson, besides that he's not a road person and not really a front man per se, he couldn't sing the catalog. That causes a problem. Right. You know, if you just can't sing the catalog. I mean, Bill worked with him extensively on the Holy Empire. And that record, you know, take Killzone off, and it's kind of a different record. Everything's kind of down a little bit to fit in his register and all that kind of great stuff. But, you know, the rest is kind of history. And here's a funny story I'll never forget. We get to Keep It True, and we're doing sound check. and the people are setting up and they're doing whatever they're doing, typical sound check thing and whatever. We come off stage and Giles looks at me and goes, "Man, that's the most amount of people I've ever played in front of."
Oh
And
boy.
I'm not going to say I crapped my pants, but I went, "Oh boy."
Oh boy.
He pulled it off, and he's quote blossomed tremendously since, and he's got all the confidence in the world, and he's good. But I'll never forget that. That's like his first kind of gig, and that's kind of not what you want to hear.
No.
That's kind of like the agent calling you the hour before you're supposed to go on at this big gig and go, "Oh, by the way, man, the tour looks like it's upside down and we're losing money." It's not the thing that you want to do, that you want to hear before a performance, but pro is pro, and you just kind of move on. And he handled it well, and it was a tough situation for him. Bill wasn't the easiest guy as far as in a live situation. Bill didn't understand, because he's not a road person, that you can't. The records are great, and that's cool, but there's certain things that have to give a little bit in a live situation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect it to sound exactly note for note for note, because you got to remember, when you were in the studio, you punched in. And he was able to get a breath at this point, and so on and so forth. So don't expect necessarily. I mean, most musicians realize, okay, there's a little give and take, and Bill didn't understand that, and it used to drive Giles crazy. So because it was very difficult to live up to. But no, Giles, he's doing it. And the more important thing is he knows Warlord. He is Warlord. He gets it. He gets it,
He's,
him and Bill.
He's the true Damien King.
Exactly. On all sides, because it takes more than just singing, and it takes more than just being the guy hanging out. And it takes more, than the guy who's more interested in himself and his own personal gain compared to the band. And that's the thing that people don't realize. When Bill came up with the names and all that kind of stuff, it was basically just getting to that thing where the name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back of the jersey. And so It was more about the band and not the individual who's in the band. And Giles really personifies that. Mm-hmm. So, it's too bad that Bill passed, because we could have, kind of ran with this one a little bit. But, a little fun fact that people don't know is Giles and Bill had a more personal relationship than Bill and I did. Bill and I, we didn't hang. We were totally two different people. We saw things completely different. We were in different, I don't want to say stages of life or whatever you want to call it. There were similarities, and we never had a problem. There was never a problem. But him and Giles would sit there on the couch and watch like old 80s and 70s TV shows for hours on end, Bonanza and Dukes of Hazzard and like all these shows and stuff like that. So they had a whole thing going on with movies and old and all that and stuff like that. So they really had a very solid relationship. So if anybody really knew him per se, it would be Giles. So when people go, "Oh, he doesn't," he knows. Giles knows.
Yeah, Giles definitely gets it. I mean, for Bill to because he basically has the Warlord riffology and demo tapes and all. He basically has all of Bill's stuff, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, no, we put it all together, and we hunted it all down, and that kind of thing.
Right. Wow. So I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. I want to kind of talk a little bit about A to Z.
Okay.
What is there any future possible touring for A to Z at any point, or is it just too many people doing too many directions?
It's not that. It has nothing. That's not it at all. It was the label, myself. Before the record even came out, we were pounding the door down for gigs. There was no gigs to be had.
Wow.
There was zero. I mean, there wasn't even like, "Hey, here's an offer, but you got to buy on." Nothing. Zero. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know. Metal Blade's kind of hedging, and they were absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. They went and they spent the money to bring 5 guys from Europe or wherever the hell they were coming from, 4 guys from Europe, whatever. Put everybody up for a week, do massive photo shoots with 2 different photographers, do all the videos, buy all the really expensive dinners. They went out and they really did it, and they hit that thing hard. They really did. I mean, the video, Nothing Is Over, is like 3 times of what the video from the last one, that was like the #1 video that came out. and we put out a few.
Mhm.
It was dead. I don't know
Hmm.
why. I don't know. We didn't get the King's X break and get to play and go on tour with every major act in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get the quote airplay per se.
Right.
I think that record is about as good as a record's going to get. You know, what's the argument? Oh, it's not progressive enough. Well, listen deeply. Listen deeply.
Oh yeah.
It's there. There's no question about it. I
Right.
think Simone's guitar playing is the lead playing is absolutely Neil Sean, whoever you want to call it. You know, I mean, Steve Lukather. I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
His mix is fantastic.
Mhm.
Yes, to all you people, those are real drums. You know, the
Yeah.
things that are round that have a head and you hit them and they make a note and you put a microphone on it kind of thing.
Yep.
There's no samples. There's no triggers. There's no, hey, it's got to cut through. So let's use the fake drum pedals so we can go clickety, clickety, clickety. None of that. This
None of
is
that.
down and dirty. This is about as analog as you get short of a tape machine. Okay. Because everything in my studio here is Neve, Calrac, Manley. You know, it's all tubes. It's this, that, and the other.
Right.
It's old school. You know, it's not, you know, shove it down a digital trail. I mean, yes, it winds up in a computer and not a tape machine, but anything short of that, it's all analog.
Right.
No samples. You know, I think Metal Blade is kind of looking at, hey, when the third record's done, now you have a catalog to really go play.
Right.
And so that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that. You know,
Yeah.
I've talked to Nick. You know, he has different ideas that he's kind of putting away in a folder. The thing about A through Z is we move when we get going. It can move really quick. It's not one of these things where we sit around and, you know, that kind of thing. So it moves quick. You know, and just to anybody's dismay when they talk about, oh, you know, we really need to get together and jam in a room. Both those records were done with nobody being in the room, and it's you have people on a certain level. And that ugly ass word again shows up. Pro.
Yep.
Be like Bino.
Yep.
When you're pro and you're creative, you can be in a closet. It doesn't matter. You know, it comes out. We're all to that point now where, you know, just let it flow. You know, just do your thing. And it's so obvious when you listen to that record that it was just kind of put together with a Nick idea and then Nick and Mark together. And then, okay, Philip, you play your part. And the thing about the A through Z records, both of them, my whole thing to both bands, because they're two different bands basically, besides me and Ray. I want you to be overly creative. Go nuts. We can always cut it out at the end. It doesn't matter. But those ideas won't come out, you know. But the major difference, and I've been asked about this, well, what's the difference? Well, here's the major difference, and it's easy to sum up. On the first record, if I had an idea like, hey, here's this triplet figure, how about we do this and you guys play this and that, I would be lucky if I got a response of like 7 out of 10, where it's like, oh, okay, you kind of got it, but you don't really got it. And then it would stop. That would be it. And I'd have to kind of make a decision. Well, do you want to go with that or leave it as is? On the second record, when you start dealing with Nick and Simone especially, and Philip too, because I always used to just push him because I just wanted more bass. I would come up with that same idea, and they'd go, "Hey, Mark, that's really cute, but check this out." And they would take it. They would take it to 12 and 13, and I'd be sitting here with like, "Oh my god," you know. And all of a sudden, this guitar part or a keyboard part would come out of nowhere because they got inspired by what was there. They were like hungry and like wanting to take it to the next level and be creative. And that's what you really want. And I think if you look at those records deeply, that's what really shines on that second record. There's almost like a reckless abandon, controlled. And I just thought that record was just, I don't know. I thought that was the one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, and I guess, I guess there's no touring plans for Fates. So Ray's free.
Who?
I guess there's no touring plans with Fates these days.
I haven't been in that band in what, 20? Yeah, 20.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I'm just saying, Fates doesn't have any touring plans at the moment. So it's like, Ray's pretty much ready to go, I guess.
Well, yeah, he's if there's a situation, he told me that when he was here. I had a very quote heartfelt moment with him when we were here. and when we were at dinner or whatever, and he said to me, he goes, and what was cool is Ray came back from being in Spain, and he got to see all his friends, and he got to see all the people at the labels that he hasn't seen, and just all those people. And he was like, man, he goes, none of this would have been possible without you, Mark. You're the one who did this all. And he told me flat out that when he's ready to go play, and we've talked about, well, if this person can't make it and that person, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like a Warlord thing. It's like, yes, I think Ray and I need to be there. I think A through Z just it's not going to work with A through P, whoever P might be, or G through Z. It's not going to work,
Right.
So, but after that, it's just more about the music. So
sure.
It's just very strange right now.
Yeah.
I think a third record and then a whole thing lined up behind that really makes the difference. So kind of going to get working on that hopefully soon. Kind of waiting to hear from Nick,
Yeah.
And kind of go from there. But I don't see any lineup changes per se.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that's the difference with the first two out. With the first album, you had Jupe and another keyboard player.
Yep, Vivian. Yep.
Right. So you like you said, you had a different band on the first album compared to this one.
Yep.
But I mean, they're both strong albums. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Jupe's an amazing guitar player. I was really blown away by it when I first heard that album.
No, absolutely. Not taking anything away from either one, but they are kind of a little different. Kind of different. I think that Alligator Teeth with the zipper has a little bit more bite on that record. That's good old Hugh Syme.
Yep.
Had a little bit of bite on that, a little bit more edge. The players were playing with a little bit more of an edge. And I think that really shows. Also, I think the thing that I was talking to you about, like pushing boundaries and really pushing stuff, and then maybe have to bring it back, but at least you pushed it. And that kind of thing shows up a little bit more on that second album than the first one.
Cool. Well, I know I speak for, I hope for a number of people out there. I'm certainly looking forward to a third A to Z album, but at the moment you do have some European Warlord dates coming up.
Yep.
When are those dates?
It's right around May 21st. I'm sure if you go to the website, I mean, I don't worry about it until 3 days ahead of time. Then, okay, I got my passport. I know the songs.
Right.
I'll be playing the songs from now till then, just to kind of play them. But we just came off a month of playing them. It's like, how can you forget? I mean, we're adding some songs back in because we're playing a longer set. But there's about a week of shows, and then there's a couple. It's all on the website. There's a couple one-off festivals. The one we're really looking forward to is Metal Lake Festival. And then there's one in November in France that we're playing with Riot, which will be a really good one. I'm just, again, we just need a strong package to get out in front of people.
Sure.
And I would like to do that in America if possible. I mean, there's a million bands. I'm sure they wouldn't have you out, but you could go out and play. I mean, hell, we could play anything from Night Ranger to Tesla to whoever to whatever. I mean, any of those bands that the fans could appreciate the music.
Right.
Yeah, maybe Warlord's a little too minor, a little darker than those two bands that I just mentioned. But any bands that are song oriented, because you have to remember, even War in Heaven, it's song oriented, it's hook oriented. Child of Damned, hook oriented. Lucifer's Hammer, hook oriented.
Penny for a Poor Man, hook oriented.
I was going to say Penny for a
Lost
Poor
and Lonely Days. I mean, those are all very hook oriented.
Absolutely. I mean, Lost
even Aliens.
No, absolutely. Every time we play Lost and Lonely Days, I swear to God, it sounds like the Beatles to me.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. That little takeoff into the lead.
Yeah.
I mean, away and leave it. I mean, my God, it sounds like Paul and George or whatever, and John Lennon. I mean, again, my wife always said it when I met her, and she's definitely not into this kind of crap at all. She goes, that sounds good. I get that, and I always looked at Warlord was the coulda, shoulda, woulda, but then again, you could say Fate's Warning was the coulda, shoulda, woulda, is right around the Parallels time.
Yeah.
What the hell happened there?
Yeah.
I mean, again, let's be very honest, because the last thing we need is you getting hate mail or me getting it. It's happened to a million bands. Okay, It's not just me. It's just not Fate's Warning. I just seem to have a list of them, but it's happened to a million bands. I mean, you've heard the stories. Bands spends $1 million on a record and it gets shelved. You know, I mean, it doesn't even come out. You know,
Yeah.
so it's crazy business. But those two bands, you know, I mean, it's so close, but yet so far.
You know, and it's so funny because you get a band like Fate's Warning, and then you get guys like Mike Portnoy who says Dream Theater would not have existed in the way it does if it hadn't been for Fate's Warning. You know, so when you hear him say stuff like that, then you see what Dream Theater wound up doing.
Yeah, I can settle this really quick. You know, because I look at a band like Queensryche, okay, and I think we have to agree that silent lucidity is what changed the game. It didn't make them better. It didn't make them worse. But from a business point of view, it changed the game. You know, Eye to Eye was supposed to do that. And then the follow-up was We Only Say Goodbye. Jimbo Barton, who had done the Queensryche stuff,
right?
You know, took 4 pounds of weed, 12 tambourines, and 6 background singers, and made a Def Leppard quote meets REM track that was ready to go, ready to blow it down. But it never happened.
Yeah.
And it winds up being a B-side. And it's called a major label. That is the difference. Fate's Warning, unlike Dream Theater, Queensryche, King's X, and a million others, got a shot on a major label. We never did. Quick story, Warlord story for all you guys.
Sure.
Michael Browning managed AC/DC. Bill and I just get done with Deliver Us. I don't know how, hook or by crook, we wind up getting a meeting with Michael Browning. Classic Hollywood in the hills, you know, kind of setup. You know, just like, oh my God, this is like something out of what's that Mark Wahlberg Rockstar movie kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we go up there, very nice house, nothing crazy, no Gene Simmons action or none of that, but very nice. Okay, cool. Puts the record on, listens to side 1, doesn't say a word, flips it over, listens to side 2. Me and Bill are just sitting there and stops and he takes it off and he looks at it and he goes, you know, you guys got a platinum record here, don't you? And all of a sudden, me and Bill are going Porsche, Ferrari. Maybe we can have actual like meat for dinner instead of eating top ramen. That would be cool too. But then and then none of us are looking for the but here comes the but. But you know, it's not going anywhere because your label can't do anything with it. And it's not a slight to Brian. He gave us an opportunity, but he was a small label. Brian was probably eating top ramen too. He didn't have money. It's not like he was loaded or we didn't catch his label when it was more successful.
Yeah.
And
it was like the fifth release on Metal Blade from what I remember.
Exactly. No. It was an opportunity. We never once said blah, 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 you know, talk bad, and which cracked me up because I did 1 million records with Bill Matoyer, the engineer, where I'd go in and tune the drums for these bands because combination of they didn't know what they were doing and it just made life easier. And it's a nice luxury to have when someone else tunes your drums.
Sure.
For a recording so you can concentrate. And these bands would be bitching about like they never got royalties or Brian's ripping them off. And I'm thinking back in my mind, you guys, you shouldn't even be here. You guys blow. He's giving you the opportunity. You're in a nice studio. You're running around with sport guns. It's like royalties. Are you kidding me? Brian is so far in the hole. Who'd you sell records to? Your grandmother? Yeah. Who bought your record? Nobody. You know, right. I mean, but no, Brian and Metal Blade have always been great. Always been every dollar to the T. Not one bad word I could ever say.
Yeah,
you know, not one. He gave Warlord the opportunity. You never know. Yeah. No Metal Massacre 2. Who's to say that nothing ever got anywhere? Who's to say?
Right.
You know, very grateful for the opportunity and, you know, everything that he's done for us. I mean, right. And Tracy and everybody else, you know, everybody at Metal Blade that ever was there. They've always been great.
Yeah.
Except for that one email I got that said not interested, but that's
yeah. So you gotta rib Brian about that one, I guess. But
I'm not, to be honest with you, I don't even know if he knows about it because, like I said, at the time there was a German office and an American office, and it seemed like one wasn't like controlling the other per se. I think they both had could flex their own muscle per se. So I don't even know if they know that we got blown out, but life goes on.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'll tell you what, what I am grateful for is having this sit down with you. And I'm glad we've been able to talk about some Warlord and hopefully, my channel is small. I don't have, may not have thousands upon thousands upon subscribers, but I hope that people who watch this, they get to see the story of Warlord a little bit, and the legacy of Bill, getting to you guys living the legacy of Bill's music, what you all built, you did together. And man, I could talk to you for hours. I think just hearing more stories.
Oh,
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but and plus hopefully in the future we can do part 2 at some point, because I'd love to hear some Fate stories too. But
oh, absolutely, anytime, man. I'm always around.
I appreciate it. But so, folks, I hope you all take the time, go to High Roller Records, because that's probably where you're going to find albums like this.
They've been amazing.
And the ones behind me, and Free Spirit Soar, the Lost Archangel, From the Ashes to the Archives. There's a lot of wonderful albums here, and the Cannons of Destruction, of course, another great album. Mark, you had a great story with that one, which it's where it was filmed and everything. You were telling me in Murfreesboro. But man, I'll tell you something. I could talk to this man for hours. I know I could. But folks, go check out some Warlord. Go check out some A to Z. You will definitely fall in love with this music. It's just really good stuff. You will not be disappointed. Mark, I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I hope the European tour goes well. And I hope we get more A to Z. I hope we get maybe some more American dates for Warlord.
Oh no, absolutely, man. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, man.
It was great meeting you in Tennessee. Too bad, I thought the band played great. I thought the band sounded great. I thought the venue was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Everything was great.
I forgot. There was a question I wanted to ask, because I asked Diego this at the show.
Okay.
What was your favorite song to play in the set?
War in Heaven.
War in Heaven?
Well, just because it's kind of like encapsulates the whole thing. I'm kind of but at the same time, all of them. I'm not going to say I'm getting burnt on Child of the Damned, but I mean, I've been playing that since 1981 or something like that. And it's like, it's cool. And I know it's the Stairway to Heaven for Warlord, kind of, that's the one that sticks in everybody's, kind of thing. But
right.
Something about, just as a musician, when you're playing War in Heaven, there's a whole kind of thing like this, which is a nice ride, and there's buildups, and as compared to just banging out Lucifer's Hammer for 4 minutes, it's pretty much just solid, kind of thing. Or even a song, I love playing Invaders as well. Haven't been playing that one that long, so that one kind of sometimes, I like them all. There's not one that I go, boy, oh boy, do we really have to do this?
Do we really have to do this one? But no, I don't think there's a song I'm like, you could have played all the albums in their entirety, and I'm like, I would have been at the edge of I'd have been standing right at the front of the stage the entire time, and would never have been like, oh God, they have to play this one. No, I would have been happy with it.
Well, it's funny because I'm good friends with Phil Ehart of Kansas, and obviously managed Kansas for 40 years, and it's a funny story how we quote got together in the beginning. But the bottom line is, he helped me a lot with management, especially with A through Z and how to handle things. And I think, especially in this Warlord situation, his best line was, sometimes it's good to be king. So sometimes it's good to be able to pick the songs that you want to play. And, there's nothing obscure, obviously. And songs like Glory and Father that I love.
Yeah.
But I know from the past, those die live. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if it's an energy thing. I think that's more of a sit on the couch and listen to it and kind of get into a semi Pink Floyd kind of state of mind kind of thing. It's not really a rockin' song per se.
Or 70,000 Sorrows.
It's funny. We just had that debate. Because I asked the guys, I go, I don't know, are we putting that back in? What do you guys think? He goes, they like it because it gives them that same thing that War in Heaven does, where there's all the different kind of parts, kind of keeps you on your toes playing. And actually, I just played it the other day, and I said, oh, this will work, But again, that's kind of one of those, it has all the different parts. But I love the verse in that. you know, and then that whole instrumental section in the middle where it's flying.
Mm.
Again, it's kind of a War in Heaven-ish kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that, and you get the gist. You know,
I remember hearing it for the first time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing song.
It's kind of like that, the epic song per se. And I mean, come on, epic song with a chorus that you can't forget. 70,000 sorrows, seven. Yeah. I mean, come on, you know, Bill knew how to write a hook, you know, I mean, it's like, as much as he, you know, was the metal master, and, you know, Blackmore was his big, you know, influence. And if you literally look at Blackmore, he wrote hits.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he wrote, you know, he had the neoclassical and all, you know, he was Richie Blackmore. The man could write a freaking song, man. I mean, man.
He certainly could.
You know, so, but anyways, no, we'll be in touch. And anytime you want to have me on, let me know. And I'm always around, and we'll be going.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Mark. I'm gonna do my little outro here. I'm gonna say rock forever, y'all. Go check out some Warlord and A to Z. And I thank y'all for tuning in. So play this little outro and end this thing.